What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're going to talk some football. Houston Texans football. Today we're going to break down and recap the Houston Texans victory versus the Oakland Raiders. And man, that's all I got to say, because this game was too close for comfort. It shouldn't have been this close. We took, people like me took Oakland a little bit too lightly. Oakland is a way better football team than I gave them credit for coming into the season. I didn't think they were going to be this well, and they surprised me early on in the season. And then watching them today versus the Texans just impressed me even more. They looked like a very good football team. This is a team that could be possibly fighting for a wild card spot later on in the year. So it's a good thing that we got the victory versus them, so that we have a tiebreak over them if it does somehow go down to wild card situations for the Texans. Hopefully not. Hopefully Texas win the division. But we behind the 8 ball with that by losing to the Colts. But man, this game was too close. Houston Texans come away with a victory, 27-24. Deshaun Watson was 27 had 27 completions off of 39 attempts for 69 completion percentage, 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, got sacked 3 times for a quarterback rating of 115.2. Carlos Hyde, 19 carries for 83 yards. Deshaun Watson, 10 carries for 43 yards. Hop, 11 catches for 109 yards. Failed 6 catches for 58 yards and 2 touchdowns. DeAndre Carter, 1 catch for 46 yards. Duke Johnson, 4 catches for 33 yards and a touchdown. Steals, 3 catches for 22 yards. And Akins, 2 catches for 11 yards. This offense, what I'm going to talk about first. This offense has too many damn good skilled people. We have too many playmakers on the field. We have a guy in Deshaun. For us not to be starting off as sluggish as we started off. Us, I think the Browns, and I think shout out to my boy Huncho. I think Huncho said this, the Saints as well. The only teams in the NFL they have not scored on the opening drive, and I think it took us to our 3rd drive before we ever got 3rd, maybe even 4th drive when we scored our first touchdown. Like these slow starts, it's not what's up. We are too talented offensively for us not to be scoring. Like today, for the most part, especially the first half, the offense looked completely out of sync. Just out of sync. Akins had a horrible day today. Akins was dropping everything that came to him. He was missing blocking assignments. He damn near tackled Carlos Hyde his damn self in the backfield. Akins had a bad game. Akins didn't show up today. We didn't use Kiki. Now I know the rumors talking about that we might be trading Kiki, that he might be on the block. Who knows, especially with the news that happened with JJ. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But, I mean, I think it's more so of Kiki being in the doghouse from that drop catch. I know some people saying that also that he didn't want to return punts. But I'm thinking it's more so for him that drop that turned to a pick against the Colts last week put Kiki in the doghouse, because Kiki didn't touch the field at all. Because you used DeAndre Carter. We've never used DeAndre Carter as a receiving threat. We never used DeAndre Carter as a receiving threat unless we had injuries and he's not able to, like, he's our next option, like we did last year against the Jets, and towards the end of the season, we know when Fuller and a lot of guys was out, like Kiki himself was out, but we never used him as a threat in a game like this, and we did. I mean, and like that 46-yard reception was a nice pass. It was a nice play that he had. He had one drop earlier, had a drop after that, but it was more so like the ball was tipped, so the trajectory came off some. But hey, rules of a receiver, you get your hands on it, you gotta catch it. He got his hands on it cleanly enough to make the catch, so you gotta make that catch. But it was more difficult. It was a more difficult catch than it should have been because of the way it was tipped and the way it started moving on him. But you do gotta make that catch. But in saying all that, man, we got a bad boy at quarterback. I know y'all was waiting on it. Man, we got a bad boy at quarterback. We got a bad... If he's not at the top of the MVP conversation, I don't know what you're doing. He has to be in the top 2. Because that play he made when he avoided a sack, got kicked in the eye, is having one eye and had to fix his face mask and still throw a dime. One just a little fluky pass. Threw a dime to Fells. That's an MVP moment. We talk about, in college football, you got Heisman moments. That's an MVP moment right there. That right there was a play that should, okay, definitely, he's definitely in the top two, top three, top two of the MVP conversation, if not number one. Like that's an MVP type play. And then talk about Fields. Fields is probably the MVP of the game because Fields had not only had two touchdowns, but also had the one hand catch that Deshaun throws to him once again because Deshaun has a swollen eye because he's out here with one eye. Has a one hand catch that convert for a first down to let you that ices the game. Therefore, you sit there and take you sit up there and you take knees. And that's one thing I like. For the past two wins, we iced the game with our offense. We got conversions and ended the game. We got the ball back with 3 minutes left. The Raiders never touched the ball again. Same thing with the Chiefs. After our defense made a punt, we drove, converted first down. Chiefs never touched the ball again. We ended the game with the ball in our hand. That's what we have to do until this defense starts proving a little bit more that they ready to end games. That we have to start ending the game with our offense. And I'm glad that we did that. And like I said, Fails, that first touchdown, I like that play design. That's probably one of the best play designs that we had. That RPO that we had, that let Fields walk, because it fooled me. I'm looking at Carlos Hyde. Then Carlos Hyde had the ball. Deshaun's running way up there. Then he throws it. Fields is wide open in the end zone. And of course, like I said, the play of the game, the one eye moving, avoiding the sack. Luckily, the refs learned from last week not calling the play dead because last week they gave up a Hopkins touchdown. It should have been a touchdown last week against the Colts because they blew it dead, saying that he was sacked. This one was actually even worse. He was more tackled in this one than he was last week, but they let the play last, and I'm glad they did because you let Deshaun do Deshaun type things. You let Deshaun, because even if you blow the play dead, Deshaun still gets kicked in the eye. So that whole, we're trying to protect the guys. He still got kicked in the eye. So you can't even say, well, see, that's why they blew the play dead. Because you see how Deshaun, even though it's a touchdown, but Deshaun got kicked in the eye. He got kicked in the eye regardless. Even if they would have blew the play dead, because when somebody is grabbing you, your first instinct is trying to get away. Even when the play is there, you don't just, I'm going to just let you hit me. No, you're trying to get away. Either way it go, you're trying to get away. So he was still got kicked in the eye regardless. So luckily, the play counted. They was able to get the touchdown. Now it was a heck of a touchdown. But the game shouldn't have came to that because we should have scored early. Oakland was the worst red zone defense, and we were, I think, tied for fourth in red zone offense as far as scoring touchdowns and them giving up touchdowns. I mean, worst red zone defense of giving up touchdowns. We're tied for fourth with scoring touchdowns in the red zone. So we should take advantage of that, and we kicked 2 field goals. Bad play selections, costly penalties. That's something that hurts. We had a lot of pre-snap penalties. We was penalized a lot pre-snap, with false starts and just offensive line movement. It was a bad day offensively. And like I said, Akins had a bad day. I think he had a couple false starts as well. And I think he had a hold, or I think he have a hold. He had some offensive flag called back on him. But that's something that was costly. Defensively, the news of the day: JJ left the game. Both JJ and Lonnie left the game. Lonnie left for concussion, so he's going to be in the concussion protocol. JJ, I mean, some of y'all probably already know by now, but he's going to be out for the season. He has a torn pectoral. When they showed the replay and showed him do this, that's one of the first things I thought of. I was like, it might be a pectoral. And I know pectorals after the year. Ever since Mario Williams got a pectoral, tore his pectoral back in 2011, I think it's the first time I ever heard of it. Ever since then, I've been able to recognize him. I didn't really see Ron Malice when he got hurt back in 2014. I think he hurt his in practice. Well, I think it was lifting weights, something like that. So of course I didn't see his injury, but when Covington got hurt in 2017 and when Whitney Mercer got hurt, I called both of them off the bat, them pectorals. And when I seen that with JJ, I'm like, that might be a pectoral, but they kept saying shoulder. So I'm like, okay, maybe it might not be because they kept on saying shoulder on the telecast. But it is a pectoral muscle. He's going to be out for the year. Injuries is going to hurt JJ's. I think JJ's still going to be a Hall of Famer. But injuries was not going to allow JJ to be all-time sack leader. I think without injuries, JJ probably would have, at the very least, challenged, if not became the all-time leader in sacks. And because he's constantly, he's going to miss 8 games this year. He missed a whole season 2 years ago. Well, he missed. He played in 3 games a couple years ago, and then 2 years ago, I think he played in the first 6 and got hurt. So he's missed a lot of time. I forgot Honcho shouted out the number. I think it was like 30 some games that he missed altogether. And that's unfortunate. I think that's what's going to cost him as far as being all time sack leader. I think he's still a Hall of Famer. I hope he can come back. I hope he plays. I don't really think his career is over just yet because it was an upper body injury and not a lower body injury. It's not an ACL or something like that. I think he could probably play if he chooses to play because JJ is like Hunter said in the stream earlier that JJ is a guy who said that he don't want to play when he's mediocre. He wants to play when he still has something in the tank. He wants to leave. He doesn't. He wants to leave with something in the tank. He doesn't want to be one of those old guys like, ooh, why are you still playing football? So it'll be up to JJ decision if he wants to continue to play. I hope he does. I want him to get as many sacks as he can. I mean, JJ's never been my favorite guy on the defense. I was always a Cushion fan, but I have a lot of respect for JJ. I like JJ a lot, and I want him to be up there as far as one of the all-time leaders in sacks. And I just think that the injuries is going to hurt him from ever reaching that level to being the all-time sack leader. Lion Johnson's a concussion, so he's probably in the concussion protocol. But just one more injury in the secondary. Coming off, we have a game in Jacksonville, and like I said, Minshew is no longer in his first start. Minshew's playing very well, and out there throwing dimes himself. So the secondary is something we need. Colvin, not I said his name wrong. I said Colvin. Um, Conley, Garyon Conley, gave up 2 touchdowns, but I think those were more so. I don't want to fault him on those because I think those are more so the way the scheme was fit, and now he was thrown out. He was a starter today. He was thrown out to be a starter today. I mean, he just got here with Thursday or Wednesday. He's already a starter because of the injuries. So you have to get acclimated to this defense, and you got to find. So it was kind of like it wasn't a situation for him. So I think that's part of the reason why I struggle. I'm not gonna be too down on him because that play he made at the end, I know some people might say it might be holding. I just think that it was they was very handsy, and he made a good play. I mean, even though the receiver caught the ball, but he made a play to get the ball out. That's something I've been talking about. That's something that we have been missing from the secondary. We haven't had guys out there who get past deflections, or guys who even when the receiver catches the ball, they're able to knock the ball out to stop. Reed did it earlier. Reed was playing his ass off from the beginning of the game. Justin Reed was playing his ass off in the beginning of the game. We need that from somebody else. Roby started to show that a little bit in the Falcon game, and also a little bit in the Kansas City game before he got hurt. He actually showed that a lot in the Kansas City game before he got hurt. So hopefully, when he comes back, after the bye week. I don't think he'll play against Jacksonville. I would like to see him play, but if he could, because it was a hamstring injury, if he could rest a little bit, I'd rather him rest so we have him on the back half of the bye week, the back half of the season. So if we can get more play from him at Roby like that, and maybe if Conley gets more comfortable in the defense and able to start making a little bit more plays like that, because that right there shows you that he's capable of making those type of plays. If he can make more plays like that, then I can feel a little bit more comfortable about the defense. I'm not super high on it. I just hopefully that's something that will work out, but we'll see. That's all. Like I told you in my video breakdown of the trade, I'm just expecting a solid starter, a solid bona fide starter, because that's what he is. He's a 3rd-round pick, so I prefer for him to be I hope he will be at the very least a starting corner. If he's a solid starting corner, I'm good with the trade. If he's an All Pro or Pro Bowler, hey, they made a great decision. But if he's below that, then we have issues. So, like I said, that's why I'm judging. Hopefully, he's a bona fide starter. If he's a solid starter, I'm good. That play he made at the end was a good play. The plays earlier, I don't want to crush him too much because it was his first game. He'd been here on a short week. I don't want to crush him too much. But if we continually see those type of plays, then those will raise eyebrows and those will be problems. But one thing about him though, is it just me or he looked like he was small? Because he's supposed to be bigger than Roby. I'm like, he looked like a little guy on this field. Like the whole time I'm looking, like he look tiny. He looks like a smaller guy. Like now, Lonnie, I know Lonnie's a bigger corner, and Lonnie looked like he was towering him when he was out there. But I'm like, he looks like he was a smaller corner. That was a very like that right there just kind of just piqued my interest a little bit. I'm like, man, he looks kind of small out there. Um, Everybody from the AFC South won today, so the Texans still stay at the second spot. You got the Chiefs. I mean the Colts at 5-2, the Texans at 5-3, and then both the Titans and the Jags are both 4-4. So nothing changed from a division standpoint coming into this game. I mean, nothing changed outside the game as far as coming into the game as far as the standings. So the Texans just have to keep it rolling. But they got to stop coming off with these sluggish offensive performances like that. That's something that's nerve wracking because this game shouldn't have been as close as it was. It really shouldn't have. Like this game should have been, even though Oakland is better than I gave them credit for. If those two times that you're in the red zone, if you score touchdowns on one of them, this game is a different type of game. And we constantly kept shooting ourselves in the foot. Also, Tunsil got hurt. I haven't heard any news on Tunsil. I heard it might be a sprain or a part MCL torn. Hope that's not the case. If y'all have any news about that, at the drop it down in the video, comment if you have any news on Tunsil because that's something that we can't afford. We can't afford Tunsil being hurt. One, we traded 2 first-round picks for him. We cannot afford Tunsil to get hurt because we don't have a first-round pick to replace. So that's something that is very, very problematic. If it's something that's significant, I know he was smiling on the sideline, so hopefully he's okay. They just didn't want to put him back in the game, like Honcho said. So hopefully he's fine. Offensive line gave up a couple sacks, mostly Chris Clark playing on the right side. That wasn't a good look when they moved him back to the left side. Once Tunsil went down, they looked a little bit more fluently. Carlos Hyde was running the football well today. Even though he did have one little fumble. And we went away from the run in the beginning of the game, but towards the end of the game, we started running the ball well. And that's one of the things also about Lamar Miller. There's a difference between Lamar Miller and Carlos Hyde. Coming into this game, I think the Texans were 8th in rushing, if I'm not mistaken. I know last year, the Texans at one point were like top 5 in rushing, or I know they were top 10 at one point in rushing. And I said, I don't care about what the stats is when it comes to rushing the football. My thing is, can you run when you need to? That's something that the Texans couldn't do with Lamar Miller. Now, it could be because of the offensive line, but I also think a lot of that has to do with the way Lamar Miller runs the ball. Like I said, he has horrible vision. That's one of my biggest gripes about him. He has horrible vision, and he doesn't hit the hole aggressively. Not the case with Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde has zero problem hitting the hole aggressively. Carlos Hyde sees that hole, and he hits it as hard as he can. He hits that as hard as he can. And on those last 2 drives, when you needed Carlos Hyde to run the football, he ran like a man. Stiff arming, punching people in the face. He ran hard, ran over people. I can respect that. That's something I can respect that coming from a former running back in the corner. I can respect that. That type of running style, I like that. That violent running style, I like that. I still think that he's still not as dynamic enough to be, like a feature back, like a of course he's not your Zeke's or your Gurley's or your Saquons or even Nick Chubbs and things like that. Of course he's not one of those type of backs. Or Aaron Foster. Of course he's not one of those type of guys. But with this type of offense that we have, he's very serviceable. And he's able to run the football and able to, like I said, ground out the clock and put you into situations where you can end drives with the football in your hand. And like I said, the last 2 wins, the win against Kansas City and the win today, have 2 things in common. Your defense makes a stop. The defense makes a stop in the last 5 minutes of a game, and your offense doesn't give the ball back. That's what I'm talking about. I know against the Chiefs, we went for on 4th down and ended. This one, we didn't have to go for on 4th down. But we did have a quarterback out there with one eye. I can't say that enough. You had a quarterback out there with one eye throwing dimes. And then you had Fells, who, like I said before, we do not talk about Fells enough. We do not give Darren Fells enough credit. He has, 6, 7 touchdowns this year? If I'm not mistaken. He had 2 today. No, he had 2. He had 2 against the Falcons. He had 2 today, so that's 4. He had 1 against the Chargers, that's 5. Did he have 1 against the Colts? I think he had 1 against the Colts. I think he's on 6. Oh, and then the touchdown that Duke had was a nice ass touchdown. The Duke paid for it too because he got hit in the chest. But then how he stuck that hand out like that, but we do not talk about Fields enough. Fields is a grown man out there. Him and Carl Hyde, both of them today were grown men out there. And Deshaun's just special. He has to be in the MVP conversation. Has to. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Comment below if you haven't. Click that bell, get more videos. I holla.